The NFL playoffs are kicking off soon, and we get you set for the occasion with our best bets for Wildcard weekend and the NFL futures market. All this and more. It's the IBT podcast coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy, call him Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my FTC. Earn my stripes like I fix this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right. It is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025, and this is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. Tonight, we head back to the betting streets with our way too early best bets for Wildcard weekend and some NFL playoff futures as a whole. I'm your host, Seth Wilcock, absolutely buzzing as we begin the new year and postseason play. And no, I'm not alone. I'm joined by a Patriots mark and perhaps the biggest gambler in the greater Boston area, Steve Lawson. Happy New Year, brother. How are you doing roughly 48 hours removed from the firing of Gerard Mayo?
You know what? We're doing okay. Definitely got some pushback on that, but honestly, it was a bad hire in the first place. It was really not the one to make in the first place. Ben Johnson has expressed interest in the New England Patriots, and honestly, that is music to New England's ears. We are in the middle of the dead cold winter. Everything is miserable, so it's about time we have some good news.
Yeah, and we'll get some good news later on the show as well. So great transition there from Steve. And we're also joined by a man who is currently battling the elements down in the last frontier of Texas. He's a light ranching, big business son of a bitch, Eric Romoff. Eric, how are you doing following another holiday break?
Man, doing good. Tomorrow is the first day the kids go back to school, and I can feel like a normal human being again.
Wow, you guys have a long time off.
We're in the midst of a weather closure watch for the aforementioned first day of school. It's now 29 degrees outside in Central Texas. I'm back here freezing it up in the icebox for y'all.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and hopefully the kids make it back to school. I've said this before on the program, and I'll say it again. I did not have a canceled day of school until I was in like 10th grade. We didn't do it. And I was in the coldest part of Pennsylvania. But you know what? We made it to school. You put on your four-wheel drive, you put on your snow pants, and you made it. One way or another.
This is not about conditions. It's just the post-holiday scaries for the staff. And they're like, it's kind of cold. We'll close for the rest of the week.
It makes sense. And guys, we've got a stat card for you tonight on the show. Between bets, I made my biggest wager of the NFL season today. I'll be sharing that plus our other favorite picks currently on the board. Yeah, I'm excited about that one. We're also joined by the Wizard of Oz of this particular program. He's a Yinzer, he's a Ginger, and he's the driver of a silver Nissan Rogue that's probably illegally parked right now on the side street. Kyle Scott, Happy New Year, Jim. How are the winter vibes out there in the Berg as the boys head to Baltimore this weekend?
Oh, man, I mean, my vibes are pretty high. Thank you for calling me out on illegally parking. I just got a letter from the parking authority. I need to pay my tickets.
Clean that up, Kyle. Clean that up, bud.
But yeah, I mean, vibes are pretty high out here in the Berg for this weekend. Hopefully it doesn't end too soon.
Yeah, let's keep on riding. Shout out to the IBT family as always. We've got some absolutely huge plans in 2025, so we hope y'all hang around for it. So please like this video if you enjoy this type of content and subscribe to the whole channel if you're new. And guys, let's kick it off. Some Between Bets Wildcard Weekend Edition.
Between bets. Between bets.
It's between bets. We're going to be giving you our favorite bets for Wildcard Weekend and the futures market. We got Jamie tapping in with us live saying, "What's up, dudes?" Saying we used to have to walk to school in blizzards uphill both ways. Listen, I don't want to exaggerate, but there was a big-ass hill from my house just to the top of the driveway where I even got picked up to school. So this is not an exaggeration. I absolutely did this in the early to mid 2000s. So I'm there with you. We got Ben hanging out as well. Let's win some money for the family this weekend.
Good,
and Steve, I'm coming to you first, man. Let's go to the ATS money line market. What are you liking out there against the spread or on the money line for Wildcard Weekend?
Yeah, I'm picking against this. Well, I'm picking the Packers +4 this weekend against the Philadelphia Eagles. That is going off at -102 via DraftKings right now. Not only do I like the Packers to get 4 points, I like the Packers outright in this game. I would take them straight up. So you're giving me points? I'm there for it. I think Green Bay is the better team. And that's kind of crazy to say because the Eagles have played well. The problem is that the Eagles' strengths don't align with the Packers' strengths very well. So where the Eagles are really good at defending the pass, the Packers are so good on the ground right now. Josh Jacobs is looking better than ever. I think Green Bay will be able to slow down the Eagles' offense better than Philadelphia will slow down the Packers' offense.
Yeah, I looked at this +4, and last year in the first round, I hit a big 4-1 outright for Green Bay to beat the Cowboys. So I was kind of thinking, should I go back to that market? For me, though, there's an X factor in the backfield for Philadelphia that I can't bet against. I'm actually going to bet on him later in the show when we get to some player props. So I don't mind this call at all. I think Green Bay could be dangerous this weekend. Philadelphia, hard place to play, but Green Bay made for that weather as well. So a lot kind of going in Green Bay's direction. I do like the Eagles if they can get Jalen Hurts back healthy. We did see them cut Ian Book today, so it is looking like Hurts will be active this weekend. Eric, what are your thoughts here on Green Bay? Would you be interested in getting invested with them? Or do you have a feel for this ATS ticket that Steve's laying out? And what is your favorite against the spread bet for this week or money line?
Yeah, I'm going to be ruffling some feathers up in here tonight. I am on the complete opposite side of this bet from our boy, Steve Lawson. Getting 4 points probably sounded pretty solid when it was a little bit murkier as to Jalen Hurts' availability. Like you mentioned, Ian Book's out the door, so I think that signals that he will be out there. And I think the matchup in particular is one that's a bit tough for Green Bay, especially in light of Christian Watson being out. So I also have a bet with regard to this. We will talk about it more. Okay. My individual bet for the money line is going to be my hometown Houston Texans +136 hosting the Chargers. That is courtesy of our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. I mean, there's a couple of fundamental things here, right? This is the lowest total on the board. So anytime that you're looking at a team that is getting points at home in a lower total, that's usually the side of the equation that I want to bet on. If you're looking to be a bit more conservative in how you approach this one, you can just take the 3 points that Houston is getting here at home. I actually think, obviously the Texans offense has been sputtering down the stretch run as they lose basically every wide receiver that's walked inside the building this year. But, despite that offense, the strength of this team really is the defense. They have an incredible front. They're very effective both at slowing down the run and very, very strong stopping the pass. I think we're going to look at a very low scoring affair, and I'll give the edge to the home team to go out and steal one as an underdog in that early Saturday slot that the Texans are always in.
Have you been watching the same two teams I have, Eric? Because just like giving the eye test, the Chargers look way better. So I'm going the opposite with this. I'm going Chargers on the money line, -154 at FanDuel. I also don't hate them. If you want to grab the -2.5 ticket there at FanDuel, I wouldn't play the 3 that's out there at DraftKings at some other books, but Chargers have looked way better. They've won and covered in 3 straight. They're at NFL best right now, 12-5 ATS this season. 10-2 is a favorite. So they win the games they should. And that's a Jim Harbaugh thing going all the way back to Michigan last season. The Texans on the other side of things here, they're 7-8-2 ATS. They have failed to cover in 4 of the last 6 games as well. And they have not top 30 points in that span, while the Chargers are coming off 3 of their highest scoring games this season averaging 36 points per game in that span. I just think, Steve, that I don't think the Texans can stop this defensive line of Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. You got Thule out there as well. The Texans' offensive line's been depleted. It's been banged up all season. And this is arguably the deepest defensive line. Maybe not the best defensive line, but the deepest in the season. And they're all up and ready for this one.
Yeah, this game is going to come down to one man and one man only, and it's going to be a bit of a surprise for people, but it's Joe Mixon. The Texans look good when Joe Mixon looks good, and lately Joe Mixon has not looked like the guy he was a fantasy league winner. We were crowning everyone who had Joe Mixon league champion at one point, right? Like we were
he killed us down the stretch too.
Down the stretch, awful. And what happened? The Texans have sputtered, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a coincidence that has happened. However, he has had some time to kind of get himself right, get going. Here we go. So it's now or never time. I don't think the Chargers have. Let's clarify, right? They beat up on the Patriots.
Yeah.
Pretty bad, right?
This context matters.
It matters. Like I don't know if Ladd McConkey
played the Raiders last week.
Yeah. I like Ladd McConkey's not going to run crazy against Derek Stingley, right? Like that's one of the elite corners in the league right now, taking away their only real pass catching threat. And I don't know if J.K. Dobbins is going to have enough in him, and the corpse of Ezekiel Elliott that's in the backfield joining him now. I don't know if that's enough to overcome the Houston Texans and C.J. Stroud, who, for all his struggles this year, is still an absolute baller. And Nico Collins, who's still an absolute baller. There are two men who will affect this game the most on either side of the ball. One is Joe Mixon. The other one is my guy from Florida State. We went to school around the same time, Derwin James. And that's going to be a big, big, big matchup.
Yeah, I just think like coaching advantage, give me the Chargers. Offensive, defensive line, give me the Chargers. Quarterback, I would go either way, but I think Justin Herbert's playing better. Running back, though, as you both alluded to, like Joe Mixon, he could be the X factor. We also don't know if J.K. Dobbins 100% healthy coming into this game. He was on the injury report earlier this week, as with Gus Edwards, but I feel okay about it. Eric, any final thoughts on this game as a whole?
Yeah, like I mentioned, right? Like the context matters for how these two teams have finished down the stretch. The Chargers have been scrapping their way into the playoffs and playing some of the worst teams in the league down the stretch run to make their way in. The Texans have had nothing to play for a month and have just been dealt body blow after body blow of some of the locker room's leaders going down with catastrophic injuries. The thing that I think is most material to all of this is really twofold. One, that J.K. Dobbins either lingering injury or inability to be effective. We've seen what this Chargers offense can be when J.K. Dobbins is not looking like himself out there. But moreover than anything else, I think we're going to look at a very close game, a very low-scoring game. And if we're talking about a situation where Stroud has to connect on one pass to Nico Collins, I think that is a very favorable spot for the Texans overall.
Yeah, I see it the other way, but I totally understand it. So I understand if people themselves want to stay away from this play, it's a decisive game, but I'm going to trust my eyes here. I'm going to go with Jim Harbaugh. Eric's going to go with his hometown boys and then use that context there. And looks like we got Angie hanging out with us. What's up, IBT gang? What's up, Angie? Good to see you as always. We appreciate you. Guys, I want to get to the total market. This has been one of my favorite markets to bet all season. My guy, Andrew Erickson over there on VP and FP actually got me really into betting unders this year. I've really enjoyed the unders and just seeing that clock drain, but I'm actually going to go the opposite way this week because I like the Washington Commanders versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm taking the alt over line 48.5 just in case this thing ends like 28-21, something like that. I always like buying a couple points back. This is minus 132 at Bet365. These are 2 of the 3 worst defenses left in the playoffs in terms of points per game and yards per game. The only one who's also kind of in that mix is the Rams. Tampa Bay, 12-5, 70% to the over this season. Washington, 11-6, 65% to the over this season. In games Jayden Daniels has played, the Commanders have played to the over in 4 of the last 5 and 6 of the last 8. They're averaging just about 28.5 points per game in that span. And like, guys, don't look now, but Baker Mayfield has 41 fucking passing touchdowns, 44 total on the season. The Bucs offense has had to cook all year long because this defense is honestly pretty cheeks. They've played to the over in 4 straight games. The Buccaneers have, averaging 34.8 points per game in that span as well. So it should be about 50 degrees, a little bit warmer in Tampa Bay. No rain in the forecast as well for Sunday Night Football. Giddy up, boys. We're going to see some points in this one. Steve, do you also expect a shootout in this one? And on that note, what's your favorite total bet of the week?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a little bit of lore. I used to coach football back in the day, and I was an offensive guy. I was known as an offensive guy. That's what I did. This game, I would love to be calling plays for either of these teams, right? I mean, you look at the weapons all over the place. More than that, you'd love to be calling plays against either of their defenses because they're basically Swiss cheese, right? I mean, now, am I excited for Marshawn Lattimore taking on Mike Evans? You bet your ass I am. But there's a lot of talent on either side, on both offenses, right? We have maybe a top 5 quarterback in Jayden Daniels, a top 10 quarterback in Baker Mayfield, wide receivers galore, talent all over the place. This is going to be a shootout. On the flip side, I did opt for the under, which is unusual for me. I play overs because I love offense. I am saying that your lures are going to rep the under along with the Baltimore Ravens, and they will score less than 44 points combined. Now, I do not think Baltimore will be the problem in this matchup. I say that not to hurt you, but just as a fact. Baltimore will put up points. Pittsburgh probably won't. Russell Wilson is not very good. And then he threw George Pickens under the bus, and now George Pickens is pissed at him. That is not a good recipe, right? My buddy and I were talking about this. Pittsburgh has a very strange history of drafting the most diva wide receivers on the planet.
It's true.
They draft them because they know they're talented, and they're like, we'll deal with it for however long we can deal with it before it becomes a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem. Your star wide receiver is beefing with your starting quarterback right before the playoffs. That doesn't bode well for Pittsburgh and their camaraderie. I expect this to be kind of a Derrick Henry-led shellacking.
I could see it. It hasn't been great vibes for Pittsburgh. They've had a really tough schedule down the stretch. They've lost 4 straight coming into the postseason, and there's part of me that wants to bet Mike Tomlin as nearly a double-digit point underdog because that's always a good play, especially in the Ravens rivalry game. So that is something I'm continuing to monitor throughout the week is if I do want to get invested with the Steelers. But I do agree with you, Steve, that if I am playing anything in this game for sure, it's going to be that under because this is typically the type of game these guys play. This is hard smash mouth ball, especially in the playoffs. I mean, if you want to see some of the best hits ever, go back and watch that 2008 playoff game, AFC Championship game where, I mean, God bless Willis McGahee, but I mean, he almost didn't get out of that Pittsburgh alive that night. Like, this is the type of rivalry this game brings. And I think we did see a little bit of an anomaly a couple weeks ago with the Ravens, putting up over 30 points on the Steelers. But I think they keep this one close. I think it is a tight scoring game, and I think it's a low scoring one as well. So I'm with you here. AFC North matchup, 3rd time they played each other this season. I like the under. It's also
going to be bitter cold. Like, that's the other thing is it's going to be so cold. We have like storms moving through on Sunday.
Yeah.
Like it could be a snowy, messy,
I love it.
disgusting.
I love it. I can't wait.
And these teams want to kill each other, right? Defensively, they're coming to play. I wouldn't be shocked if this is a 13-3 kind of game.
Yeah, I absolutely am excited for this. I've been so bummed out because the Steelers are always playing on Saturdays and Wednesdays and all these different days of the week, and it gets really annoying. But I'll be locked in at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. You best believe that. Eric, give us your favorite total play of the weekend.
I'm going to head to the aforementioned game between Green Bay and the Philadelphia Eagles. I am also going to go with some under porn here, under 46.5 points on this total. The thing that is most concerning for me is the absence of Christian Watson, right? Like we have bemoaned all season about how there are so many capable receivers in this receiving room for the Packers. But none of them have quite the same skill set of Christian Watson, specifically what he does stretching the field and what he does as a red zone weapon, right? So the absence here is a huge subtraction to the game plan for Green Bay overall. And then you add on to that the fact that they are facing top to bottom the most difficult secondary in all of the NFL. This game can still be relatively competitive, but I think we're going to see, like Steve alluded to, a ton of Josh Jacobs. We're going to see a ton of Saquon Barkley. I think we're going to see this one come in under by a pretty healthy amount.
Okay. All right, let's go to the player props market. Eric, turning it back over to you, where have you turned a new leaf? Because you're supporting a player that I've been all over, but he hasn't been great lately. Kind of a sour turn to what was a great season for a young promising star up there in the great state of New York.
Yeah, I figured, now that we're in the new year, we'll start things off on a positive note.
Fresh slate.
Love up our guy Seth a little bit. This only can mean that I am placing an overbet on Khalil Shakir's receiving yards line, 52.5 to be exact. That'll get you a -114 over at FanDuel. A lot of this is really circumstantial, right? Yes, Khalil Shakir has seen his production take a dip since this receiving core has gotten back to full strength. But even though the yardage has gone down, the air yards are still there aplenty. And in his last 3 games where these teams are back at full strength, 6 targets, 7 targets. So he's still getting plenty of looks in what should be a very potent offense. But more so than anything else, Khalil Shakir runs out of the slot at the 7th highest rate in the National Football League, about 70% of his snaps. And our guy, Pat Surtain II, only covers the slot on 9% of his coverage snaps. So he is going to avoid what is easily the most difficult matchup in that Broncos secondary. We've seen all year that wherever Patrick Surtain is getting funneled a ton of targets. So I like Khalil Shakir to go over this 52.5 point line.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you make about Pat Surtain, and kind of piggybacking off that thought. I'll go with my favorite player prop this week. Usually not a huge anytime TD guy, especially in the minus money area here. -120 for Josh Allen at DraftKings. And like you said, Pat Surtain, who apparently the odds-on favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year this season, which I don't agree with that necessarily.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that either. But, TJ Watt can't win it because he's a Watt and too many Watts have won it. But nonetheless, he's going to be out on the fucking prowl. So I expect Josh Allen to have to use his legs and lean on James Cook. Last year in 2 playoffs games, Josh Allen, this Wyoming cat, he rushed for 2 touchdowns in 2 games. He's also had 3 straight games in the postseason where he's had a rushing touchdown dating back to the 2022 season, that 2023 postseason. Allen has also rushed for 9 rushing touchdowns in the past 7 games. He's found pay dirt in 6 of those games as well. 6 out of 7 ain't bad. Now give him a week off, get his body right, and come into a game where it matters. What does Josh Allen do when it matters? He gets the ball in the end zone with his 2 legs in the red zone area. So I like Josh Allen to keep it safe in that gold zone and cash it in with his legs. Ben in the chat saying Shakir's stats don't lie. Jamie also saying some games Surtain only hit the slot about 3% of the snaps. Yeah, I expect him to see a lot of Amari, a lot of Keon Coleman on the outside this week. So I'm going with Josh Allen there. Steve, what is your favorite player prop for this week?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump back to that Tampa Bay Commanders game because I like Jayden. I can't get enough. I love offense, and it's like the sexiest matchup. It's gonna be so much fun. I love Jayden Daniels to go over 47.5 rushing yards. That's going off at -125 on DraftKings for those of you who are curious. Now, 4 out of the last 5 games, Jayden Daniels has put up double-digit rushing attempts, right? So you give me someone who at 80% of his 80% of the time is going over double-digit rushing attempts. All he has to average is 4.8 yards a carry against a defense that cannot stop a nosebleed.
Yeah.
And it's a winner-take-all situation. This is it. They are not saving Jayden Daniels. There's no more protecting Jayden Daniels. There's no more saving for when we need him. You need him. It's time to use him. Your running game looks abysmal minus him lately. Something's wrong with Brian Robinson Jr. I don't know what, but he looks bad lately. Jayden Daniels, I would not be shocked if he goes to over the century mark rushing. He is a big play waiting to happen. He could get 48 rushing yards on one try. So
I don't hate it. Yeah.
I like this for -125. That's pretty good. I think he's going to do that.
Yeah, he's also out there for an anytime TD at like plus 185. I gave that a hard look. That will potentially be a sprinkle for me this weekend, purely because the Buccaneers have allowed 9 rushing touchdowns this season to opposing quarterbacks. That's top 3 most in the NFL. So, like, it is a juicy matchup, as you said. And I don't think Brian Robinson Jr. ever got fully healthy, right? Like,
I don't think so either.
I mean, he had a knee issue, he had an ankle issue, he had an upper body issue. We haven't seen Austin Eckler. I don't think.
You know who they could really use right now?
Austin Eckler.
Antonio Gibson.
You love it.
All roads lead to Antonio Gibson. What I love about this bet in particular, if you double click on this matchup, we've got Todd Bowles on the opposing sideline for Jayden Daniels. What does Todd Bowles love to do against rookie quarterbacks? He loves to blitz them. That's how they beat Jalen Hurts and those Philadelphia Eagles a few years ago. Surprisingly enough, Jayden Daniels, the second highest rated QBR when facing the blitz. QBR is obviously the quarterback metric that accounts for his ability to create yardage on the ground as opposed to passer rating. So this one, I can just see Todd Bowles just foaming at the mouth to blitz his kid, and Jayden Daniels is going to give him the
bad decision. That's the thing is you wonder if that's going to be the downfall of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I think there's a very good chance that that's the case because Todd Bowles loves going to that play, and Jayden Daniels can just carve him up as the counterpunch all day.
Yeah. Agreed with you there. Didi in the chat tonight saying you were so right, Seth. Thank you, Didi.
Oh my God. Who highlighted that? Didi, don't lie to him.
Also, dropping us a New Year gift, the $20 super chat. Thank you, Didi. We are so grateful for your presence. Hope you're having a great start to 2025 out there in the great state of Idaho. We got Jamie weighing in as well. He's asking this question. Do you like the Addison over 60.5 receiving yards or Jefferson over 90.5? Well, look, man, we were just talking about the Rams are also one of those other teams that they give up a ton of yards, a ton of points every single game. I wouldn't mind maybe a Jefferson anytime TD. I'd be curious to see what you can get as far as value at your current books, Jamie, for maybe a Jefferson TD, because we saw how many times last week Darnold couldn't hit him very often, but he was looking his way, especially down there in the red zone in crunch time. So I don't hate these numbers at all. Eric, do you have any insight? You know the Rams cornerbacks just about as good as anyone.
Yeah, the Rams cornerback room has been a bit of a revolving door, right? A lot of platoon guys that have been thrown into starters roles. So, anytime that's the case, you're looking at a lower level caliber of coverage, right? So I do think that there is a clear advantage for both of these guys. 90 yards is a big number, right?
Yeah.
I would probably err towards the Jordan Addison side here. Despite him suddenly establishing a pretty nice floor in his second year, he's also very much so being targeted much further down the field among these two. So, a couple of deep catches can get him there. Whereas, it'll take a lot to get to 90 yards. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is the caliber of player that can do it. But of the two, I think I would err on the side of Addison.
Jefferson anytime TD minus 110 on DraftKings. I might like that a little bit more, Jamie, than playing his yardage total. My whole thing is if you're betting on this Minnesota game, if you're betting the Vikings this weekend, if you're betting any of the player props for the receivers, you're betting on Sam Darnold. And keep in mind, while it's been a great season for Sam Darnold, this is without a doubt the biggest game of his career. The last biggest game of his career was last week against the Lions, and he did not fare well. Seemed like he was kind of overthrown everyone a bit because he always, Sam Darnold's always been the guy, if he misses long a little bit, right? So that's your bet. You're betting on Sam Darnold there. So I'm not going to get invested, but I don't blame you for doing it, right, Steve?
I actually disagree totally. I actually like both. I would parlay both and take them both.
Okay.
I think Sam Darnold got the jitters out. I think he's going to figure it out. I think all three of us participated in sports to some degree, and sometimes you do wind up getting a little amped up when you're in a situation that you're not used to. But the great thing about being thrown into the fire is once you're in it, you're warm and you know what you're doing. You've faced it trial by fire. He faced the Detroit Lions for that 1 seed. He's able to exhale a little bit. And while he didn't succeed, he's been there now, right?
Yeah.
Like that was almost like a playoff game. It was so charged. So I really, really, really like a bounce back game here against a pretty weak defense. The only thing that may stop him is Jared Verse and Braden Fisk.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, your Florida State boys, man, they got some good ones over there.
Yo, we lost talent. We lost talent last year.
No shit. You also signed DJU, but that's a different program.
That was not a problem.
Yes. I want to go to my last player prop this weekend. It's actually two. I'm going Saquon Barkley over 99.5 rushing yards minus 110 and over 19.5 rushing attempts minus 120. These are both at Bet365. You can play these straight. I'm going to have at least a unit on both of them straight, and then probably a little nibble on a parlay that's combining these two as well. The Eagles, as we mentioned earlier, they did waive Ian Book, so Jalen Hurts likely going to be up for this game. But still, keep in mind, like, he has been in concussion protocol for over 16 games. So even if he does play, I expect the Eagles to lean heavily on Saquon Barkley, who also got rest last week. He has to be feeling probably the best he has in quite some time. Barkley has hit his rushing yard line and the carries prop at this current number in 8 of the last 10 games. 80% of the time, Nick Sirianni will get crucified if he does not feed his best player in this game, especially with Hurts not at 100%. Saquon's first ever postseason game with the Giants didn't get a ton of run in that game, but he did score 4 touchdowns. And wouldn't it just be like one more go fuck yourself to Joe Shane, to the Giants to ride Saquon Barkley into the next round of the NFL playoffs? So give me Barkley's over. I'm taking the chalk, guys. I'm taking the best players in the league.
I like it. I like both these bets. You're right. Jalen Hurts has been in concussion protocol for over 2 weeks. That doesn't bode well.
Right.
For him dropping back and chucking it 40 times, right? Nor do the Eagles. They have realized at this point they don't want Jalen Hurts chucking it 40 times because that's not a recipe for success. Saquon Barkley, first off, I want to say this about Saquon Barkley and to everyone out there who's kind of like throwing shade at my guy for like he could have set the NFL rushing record and everyone's like, what, he did it in an extra game. All right, fine. Then O.J. Simpson is the real all-time rushing leader because he did it in 14. And then they went to 16 and people started setting records. Saquon Barkley had one of the most impressive seasons we've ever seen out of a running back, and everyone wanted to make it about the games played. This man put respect on his name. He hurdled a man backwards, okay? People, like normal human beings, don't do what Saquon Barkley did this year. I love the revenge tour he's been on. I hope he gets 20 rushing attempts. I hope he hits 100 yards. And I hope the Eagles shows that the Giants were wrong to let him walk and not give him the money he deserved to stay there. But God, are we happy that he didn't. Yeah. He didn't have to run behind that fucking wet piece of paper that was the offensive line for the New York Giants. We got to see what a real Saquon Barkley looks like.
Yeah, it was
like
awesome.
Thank the football gods.
Yeah, it feels like I'm back in 2016, back in Happy Valley, baby, and seeing him in his prime. Eric, what are your thoughts on Hurts under 27 passing attempts? Do you like that line Jamie's throwing out? And I'd also like to use this time to transition into the futures market because you are also high on the Philadelphia Eagles, not just for Wildcard weekend, but in general here. So hit us with Hurts and then your thoughts on the Dirty Birds as a whole.
I will disregard your request and instead talk about Saquon Barkley a little bit more because Steve brings up a fantastic point about the number of games played in the season. Eric Dickerson in his record-setting season had 379 rushing attempts. Saquon Barkley only had 345 this year, right? So it was an era where they were running the ball far, far more often. So flowers to Saquon. I love your bet. I love parlaying those two together. For the 27.5 number, honestly, I would probably just walk away from this one. This feels like a pretty good number. I agree they'll probably take it a little bit slow with Jalen Hurts in this first game back, but I think that will probably draw down his rushing attempts more than it will his passing attempts. Okay. The game script that I have touched on that will absolutely support all of these bets that we've talked about is also one that there probably won't be a whole lot of a need for a bunch of passing attempts either, right? So I think I would probably walk away on this one or maybe lean towards the under on either side. Which
just bet Saquon. Just bet Saquon, Jamie, right?
Yeah. 100%, right? Like he's going to be showcased, right? He is raring to go. He sat out of that game so that he can be fresh and ready for moments like this, right? So he's going to be out there just completely carrying the load. It's a little bit murkier for how they use Hurts. So like I said, I would walk away. My futures bet, though, is with regard to the aforementioned Dirty Birds. I'd like them to win the NFC. Plus 330 is the best price you can get on that over at DraftKings. Our friends over at Betting Pros have this listed as a consensus number closer to plus 300. So you're getting some good value just based on what you can get at DraftKings relative to the book. But if nothing else, I just love their side of the bracket. I already mentioned I like them to win this game against the Green Bay Packers that are ailing without Christian Watson and that will have a hard time overcoming that secondary. And then they're going to get the winner of the Buccaneers and Commanders game, most likely. So they can go the deepest into this bracket without facing the Detroit Lions, who are just absolutely in God mode right now. But they're doing so, these Lions, with a battery of injuries. And while Aaron Glenn was completely in his bag in that Week 18 game, I don't think we can project forward those type of defensive performances, right? So we're talking about guys off the street that are going to be trying to cover the combination of AJ Brown and Devonta Smith there. So, if they make it to that game, which they've got the clearest path to, I would actually like them to win that game outright. So I love this price at plus 330.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who do you guys have winning the Super Bowl?
Give me.
I'm gonna lay down and say Baltimore. I'd lay my money right down on the Baltimore.
I think they're 9-1 or 10-1 out there. I think
that's where I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna lay my money down on
That's
them.
a good price, yeah. I think it's Kansas City.
Yeah, give me. I won a lot of money last year betting the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, so I'm just gonna keep going. Them or Buffalo to me. It's them or Buffalo. So.
All right, we weren't going to touch on it, so I was curious.
Yeah, no, great point there. And Eric, I was like honestly really big on the Eagles a couple weeks ago. Before Jalen Hurts spent all this time in concussion protocol, that kind of scared me off of them. And then Alex Anzalone comes back for the Lions. I mean, that guy is a shit brick house. I mean, my goodness, does he make a difference for that Lions defense? Flying around, got a game ball in his first game back. So that. It's one of them. It's one of them, right? I think you could even make money. You can make money either way, betting the Lions or the Eagles to potentially make the Super Bowl. Specifically, if you like, you can bet Lions and Chiefs to be in the Super Bowl at a pretty good value. You can bet Philly and the Chiefs as well. So if you want to get some type of value over there, I think the Eagles are worth a look, though, for sure. We got Albert in the chat. Good evening, IBT. Albert. Good evening, Albert. Good to see you as always, brother. All right, guys, I'm going to give you my dumbass parlay of the week presented by Big Tobacco. I'm going with Josh Allen, NFL MVP, minus 470. Joe Burrow, NFL Comeback Player of the Year, minus 250 for combined odds of minus 144. I laid 8 units down, boys. And you're going to have to do that to make money here on minus 144, right? And here's my whole thing with this is like I wanted to find and you can only bet the comeback player of the year at a few select books still at this point. Like and FanDuel is one of them here. And Sam Darnold should not be plus 250 for this award because I get that Sam Darnold was having a sensational season up until last week. But at the same time, this is according to Rob Maudie, the overseer of All-Pro and NFL awards voting. The revised criteria focused on recognizing players who showcase the exceptional strength by overcoming significant hurdles, be it an illness, serious injury, or circumstances that previously sidelined them. The league's aim with these new guidelines is to ensure that players who have not only battled against injuries, but have also risen back to the forefront of the game are celebrated properly. They're saying they don't want what happened to Geno Smith or Joe Flacco with them winning comeback player of the year to happen. They want someone who got hurt. It's Joe Burrow, guys. He should not be minus 250. If you think that Lamar has a shot at the MVP, don't parlay this then, and then just bet 250 and drink all the fucking juice you have to. I'll drink it all. I don't care at this point. I also think Josh Allen is winning the MVP. I've heard from enough voters out there who they haven't made their picks public. But Dan Orlovsky, he went out and said that he thinks Josh Allen should win the MVP. We've heard, we've heard multiple people out there.
Absolutely should not.
Well,
it's like they always show it. They're like, so which of the two? And I'm like, give me the guy who has the better stats, top to bottom.
If it was a stats, let's just take people out of it. Then it wouldn't be a vote. It would just be.
Well,
computers.
what the fuck? What are we judging it on? Like, what does it matter?
Josh
right?
Allen's working with a pair of fucking
no one
a
on
pair
earth,
of hedge
no one
out
on
there
earth
at receiver, brother.
could honestly look me in the face and say they would rather have Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman than Keon Coleman and Amari Cooper. No one on earth could look me in the eye and say that.
Both those guys have
And
been
Khalil
hurt most of the
Shakir
season.
and Dalton Kincaid and James Cook.
He's got
Like,
Derrick Henry in the fucking backfield, dog.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying
and
he
he's
doesn't
still
have
producing
weapons.
at this level.
He's still producing at this level. The only thing Josh Allen has more of than Lamar Jackson is rushing touchdowns. That is the only stat he's better than Lamar Jackson. Total touchdowns, Lamar Jackson. Passing yards, Lamar Jackson. Passing touchdowns, Lamar Jackson. Rushing yards, Lamar Jackson. And then Josh Allen wins one fucking category. And we're doing this why? Because we're bored of Lamar Jackson. This is why LeBron James hasn't won 8 MVPs in the NBA. We get so used to greatness. We get so used to greatness. It doesn't fucking matter. He got his ass whooped by Lamar Jackson. His ass got spanked. He got bent over his knee, and Lamar Jackson showed him exactly what the real MVP looks like. We are so bored with Lamar Jackson being so much better than everybody else on the planet that we are now penalizing him.
Here's the whole thing, though. We can debate this until we're blue in the fucking face.
I will.
But the media gets fatigued. And that is why Josh Allen is minus 470. That is why this is my dumbass parlay of the week presented by Big Tobacco, Eric.
Yeah, so these are two distinctly different considerations, right? Lamar Jackson is categorically the more deserving player to win the MVP, but Josh Allen will be the odds-on favor and will eventually be the MVP, right? Remember he had that sick photo where he's laying out like Superman and he caught his own pass, right? Like, voter fatigue is a real thing. You know, it's unfortunate that, you know, Josh Allen is having an MVP caliber season when Lamar Jackson is having a better season, but these things aren't really accounted for in the voting mechanism. So it should be Lamar Jackson. I'm equally as fired up as Steve, but I do think that the voters are going to break in the direction of Josh Allen. And for the comeback player of the year, I mean, the NFL came out and gave clear guidelines that Damar Hamlin, who died on the field and came back from the afterlife, clearly should have won this award last year. He had that robbed away from him. Unless they give him a makeup call and give him the award this year, it should clearly be Joe.
And I will probably also be sprinkling just a tiny, like I'm talking maybe a fifth of a unit just on Damar Hamlin, because he's the only other one I think that deserves consideration based on the season he's having so far. We got Richie in the chat saying when Josh Allen had better stats,
Richie?
He didn't get the award. Yeah, Rolex Richie, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you on that. Jamie asking Jayden Daniels Rookie of the Year. What are the odds? I mean,
I think it's minus 1,200 or something.
Yeah,
like that. It's chalk.
Surtain's getting pretty chalky there for Defensive Player of the Year as well.
Why? What has he done?
I mean, he's on a great defense. He's been the best cornerback in the league, but
does he have a lot more interceptions than I realize he has?
He's got more interceptions than you realize he has. He single-handedly takes out the best receiver on every opponent that he faces.
TJ Watt is actually a game plan in and of himself. Like the rate at which he gets,
and he set an NFL record for the longest pick six in the league. Look, Watt is part of this conversation as well. I love cornerback play, so
I do love cornerback play. I mean, I'm there. I just don't get. I don't get it. He hasn't been so good that I'm like, I don't know.
We got T. Bradley in the chat saying, "What's up, crew? What's up, Tyler? Good to see you, brother."
Hi, Tyler.
All right, Steve, round us out with your favorite current value in the NFL futures betting odds. You're specifically fast forwarding past the award show, past the end of the season, and you're heading to the NFL draft. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet that a team is going to make a smart decision. Much unlike the voters for awards, I can't take into account 18,000 different people having a say, right? At the end of the day, it's one. And this pick is Cam Ward being the number one overall pick in this year's NFL draft, going off at minus 125 on FanDuel. Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this draft. And it's really Cam Ward and then a lot of space and then someone else, right? And you can fill in the blank with whoever you want, and I won't argue that much with you about it. Now, do I think Cam Ward should be the number one pick in the draft? No. Will he be? Probably, because quarterback is more valuable. I like that he could go somewhere like, I think it's Tennessee right now, who has the number one pick. Yeah. So I mean, that fits his style of play, right? Like he's kind of chill, he's laid back. That seems cool with like Memphis or with Nashville. He'll fit the vibes. He's a great thrower of the ball. He's charismatic, and he doesn't bring a circus to town with him. And I think Tennessee might just avoid Shedeur Sanders to avoid the circus that he brings. That feels like a Raiders pick more than it feels like a Titans pick, right? Like more than that, you watch Ward's play. Ward has a more like translatable style to the NFL.
Sure.
His footwork is better. His arm strength is better. He's more athletic than we think he is. Not it's true. It's not like an if and or but. He has a better arm. Shedeur Sanders does some things well. He doesn't do anything particularly great. Cam Ward, his composure, second to none. We've never seen anyone in the pocket like Cam Ward. That is the craziest thing we've ever seen, how nonchalant he is. His arm strength is very good. His ball placement is very good as he throws a beautiful spiral. He's, and on top of that, he's actually kind of a good looking guy. So it's like, and I know that shouldn't matter, but it matters, right? All these things have to go into account.
It's why Will Levis got drafted a few years ago.
It's why Will Levis got drafted, right? Like all of a sudden
Dude's
he ate mayonnaise.
objectively hot.
Yeah, he ate mayonnaise and looked hot. And Tennessee was like, well, we can market that. At the end of the day, this is a business and money matters. And it's going to matter that Cam Ward is like, he's eventually attractive.
I think Shedeur Sanders sells a lot of tickets too, though, because he has that prime name at the end.
I think he does, but at the end of the day, you also have to count on him to be able to deliver wins. And I think this latest performance out of Shedeur Sanders in that bowl game against BYU,
true.
He didn't look like anything. He looked undraftable almost. So I'm thinking Cam Ward at number one.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting to see the odds flip like this. We now have Cam Ward as a favorite, Shedeur Sanders at plus money. My question mark here is we don't know who the new who the new general manager will be for the Tennessee Titans. They did let their GM go this week. So that's where the mystery is, right? And I think if you're Tennessee, I think you got more holes to fill at quarterback. I think you could get yourself like a Kyle McCord on day 2. I think you trade back with the Raiders. The Raiders would give you every damn thing in the checkbook to make this move and to get up to first and draft Shedeur Sanders. That's why I'm currently not touching this market for the first overall pick. I like looking at it. I like conspiring. I like talking about it. I like theorizing. I cannot bet my money right now that Cam Ward is going to be the number 1 overall pick because Mark Davis, that guy's a fucking wild card. That guy's a wild card. Like, if you've seen this guy's haircut, you never know what he's going to do out there. So I worry that it could be a trade up from the Raiders to get to number 1. Eric, how are you kind of feeling out this market right now? Are you seeing value out there on anyone, specifically these quarterbacks, or do you like some of the value maybe falling down the board?
Yeah, right now the board doesn't look all that appealing, right? For me, I don't like laying negative money on really any of these picks because there are just so many things that can go into it. But kind of like we were talking about through a different lens with the MVP conversation, I think Cam Ward should be considered the most likely player to go number 1 overall. The price tag kind of sucks here, but one thing that you mentioned that I think is material and might kind of hint to how this all plays out is Ran Carthon is out the door, right? A guy that has some pretty clear ties to the Sanders regime. We saw Deion Sanders out there making a bunch of noise on social media when that news dropped. And now some of the remaining brass there in the Titans front office have some ties to this Miami program, right? So if nothing else, you can spin a narrative where, the part of the front office, maybe even the ownership team, was pushing towards Cam Ward and Ran Carthon was pushing towards Shedeur, and obviously power wins out and Ran Carthon's out of a job.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of tea leaves that are kind of pointing in the direction of Cam Ward being the first overall pick and Tennessee sticking there in that spot to make that pick. But I mean, to lay down minus 125 on any pick in January is probably a price tag I would just walk away from.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do agree with Steve. Like, if they do stay in pick, I do think the pick is Ward, just because I think that's kind of the guy that fits Callahan's profile a little bit. He worked with Joe Burrow, probably wants a bigger passer to be in the AFC. Yeah. So, But yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting discussion coming around this first overall pick. I'm excited to discuss it further with you guys later on in the year as well. We're going to go ahead. We're going to transition in some good news to round us out. But I did want to thank everyone who has given us all their information, all their thoughts, their feelings, their bets they're considering for this weekend in the chat. Again, if you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Also, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. And let's go ahead. Let's round it out with a little good news. All right, good news is where we bring you the feel-good headlines around the sports and pop culture world. I'll start us off. I'm sticking in the sports world with Mike Evans adding to his legacy against the Saints. Game was out of reach. Or I was still in with reach, I should say, but game was won. And then the Bucks do what the Bucks do. They get Mike Evans' record for the 11th straight 1,000-yard seasons to tie Jerry Rice. He missed 3 games this season. Also, it was just awesome to see this happen against the Saints, who he's historically struggled against when shadowed by Marcus Lattimore, as we kind of talked about earlier in the show. But only not only was that funny, but then also like the betting line at most books was like 90.5, and I think he had 89 receiving yards. So a big fuck you to bettors out there too. My question to you, gentlemen, is Mike Evans now a first ballot Hall of Famer now that he has this 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons to tie Jerry Rice? What do you think, Eric? Will he get in first ballot Mike Evans?
I think he probably will, right? And I think he probably would have, whether or not he got over the line to make it 11 straight or just had 10 straight and was very close for the 11th, right? He has been a prolific wide receiver at the NFL level, and I think he's got a lot of gas left in the tank, right? I don't think that his career stops here. I think he's going to continue to add to his case, like we did with Saquon Barkley. There's also some contextualizing about the era of play that these guys are playing in that further fortifies Mike Evans' case. Honestly, I am floored that they went for this. I think it's cool that they made it a point to go out there and
stadium got a big pop. You got a big pop out of the stadium.
Yeah,
they were happy.
I mean they've got momentum coming into the playoffs now because of it, but they know what you're doing. Like, I'm surprised they didn't quadruple team him and potentially pick this off and return it for a touchdown.
Yeah,
right?
It was
like,
ballsy season on the line.
I get what you're doing. The Saints played along, right? Like, they let him catch it, they let him get the extra couple of yards, but ultimately these are all things that will be lost to the annals of time, and he will just go down having gotten 1,000 yards in 11 straight, which is an incredible accomplishment.
Yeah. Steve, what do you think? You think Mike Evans is a first balloter? Because the wide receiver position, it's tough. Like we saw Hines Ward this season, he was up and once again didn't even reach the finals. Torrey Holt, that guy's been hanging around for years trying to get in. He's been a semifinalist, I think, for like 6, 7, 8 years straight. So your thoughts, you think Evans, who has a Super Bowl win, keep that in mind. He won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, the GOAT. So do you think that gets him in the can on the first try?
I think it will, but it shouldn't.
Whoa,
here's
there.
Here's the thing, right? And I'm not saying this because I dislike Mike Evans. I like the guy. I genuinely enjoy watching him play ball. But my criteria is, like, were you a top 5, maybe 3 guy for your generation? Mike Evans has never been a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL.
His first couple of years, he was probably, I would say, a top 3 or 5 receiver.
I don't think so. I think there were guys all over the place that you could say were better than him throughout his entire career, right? Like, it just, you can say no, but it's like, oh, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, this one, that one, that one, DeAndre Hopkins and Andre Johnson, this one, that one. And it happened throughout his entire career. He was always on the outside looking in of the top 5. And the one thing he had, though, is he's kind of consistent, right? He's just there.
Longevity.
The longevity is what's going to get him in, kind of like Jerome Bettis, right? Like, it's kind of the same idea.
Easy now, throwing strings out to the bus.
It's a truth, right? I'm not saying this as like a disparaging thing. I think what Mike Evans has done has been remarkable. 11 years straight of getting to that 1,000-yard thing. I do think, I want to say, in Todd Bowles' credit, going for that record, going and getting that locker room that hyped up, going into the playoffs, stroke of genius, right? Because he could have kneeled it out. Mike Evans would have been a professional about it because he's been professional his entire career. He probably would have been like, hey, I'm disappointed, but I understand, right? We had to win that game. That's the right move. Todd Bowles was like, fuck it. Put your dick on the table. We're doing it. Like, we're doing that, right? Like, that was some big balls energy. I liked it. And I love when Todd Bowles does shit like that because I think he gets such a bum rep around the league. So, yeah, will Evans get in first ballot? Probably. Do I think he should? No. At least not first ballot, right? I could get him in there, but first ballot feels a little much.
Okay. Eric, what is your good news of the week taking us to the pop culture world?
Yeah, a little bit of pop culture, a little bit of technology crossover. I'm not sure if anyone else out there is as big a fan of Big Hero 6 as we are in my house, but Hiro Hamada developed a series of nanobots that led to this fantastical tale. And apparently these things are real. Right now, the Consumer Electronics Show is going on in Las Vegas, and a university out of South Korea has been demoing a series of ant-sized magnetic robots that have the ability to lift 350 times their body weight. They can be joined together in different forms. It is literally the exact same demo that Hiro Hamada gave at in the Big Hero 6 movie. The future is now. It's a bit terrifying, but it's also pretty badass to see.
I remember nanobots from the movies Agent Cody Banks with our guy Frankie Muniz. Do you remember? You remember that, Steve?
Yeah, that's a great.
Yeah. So that's what I remember nanobots from. They had like an ice cube, and the nanobots could eat through the ice, and So good to see that nanobots. I figured they were actually already a thing by now, just because such is life in 2024. But good on you, nanobots. Steve, round us out with your good news of the week, my friend.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with pop culture because you know me. You give me a chance to dive into my little world, and I'm going to take that opportunity every chance I get. Demi Moore. It is Demi, not Demi.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, no
Demi
idea.
Moore wins her first acting award in her 40-plus year career.
Good on you, Demi. Yeah.
Demi Moore has put out so many good roles. Demi.
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 Okay.
She has worked so hard. She has entertained for so long. She looks fantastic. She acts well. She put out a horror movie, winning for a horror movie at that. I love that. Now, listen, you guys know I'm a Wicked stan, right? I love Wicked. I wanted Cynthia Erivo to get this award, but if it wasn't going to go to Cynthia Erivo, I wanted it to go to Demi Moore. I love her, and I loved The Substance. That movie was fucked up in all the best ways. I am such a fan of this. Congratulations to Demi Moore. I am such a fan. Congratulations. She so deserved it.
Steve, do you think this puts her in contention as maybe the favorite to win the Oscar for the same category?
No.
Okay.
Is she a first ballot Hall of Famer?
She's a first ballot Hall of Famer. She's Esmeralda.
Yeah.
In The Hunchback.
The Substance was objectively awesome. Go watch it if you haven't. It's an incredible piece of film work.
Did you guys know that she's Esmeralda in The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah.
No.
So there you go.
Wow, what a run.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mrs. Moore. We appreciate you.
Good run, Demi.
Yeah.
Notice Seth is not going to say Demi again.
Imagine going 1,000 yards for 45 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, very, very well done. Very well done on this episode as well by both of you gentlemen. Steve, thank you so much. Eric, thank you for your time and analysis as well. Kyle, thanks for your help in the back end. And thank you to the IBT family who rides with us each and every single week here on the program. We greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed this type of content, or you like college football betting, PGA betting, NASCAR betting, or fantasy football entertainment betting, anything in between, we got you covered here at IBT Media. Make sure you guys are hanging around with us. We'll see you next week. Good luck in Wildcard weekend. Until next time, y'all know what to do. Keep in between. Thank you.